Pokemon Go is the answer to our generation. Okay, in some ways, maybe not. I'm sure this hype will probably last for about a few weeks, or maybe even a few months. Who knows, maybe even a year. It is Pokemon after all. I don't mean to sound delusional here, but this is probably the most exercise that us kids and teens and adults have gotten since the past few years, especially in America, which is pretty relieving to say in the least. Let's be real here, this is the first time we walked outside by our own will, just for this game. At least in a while. But what is this? Is this what they call the sun? This is just like that one picture where the parents tell the kid to go outside and instead he just brings his computer to play outside. I literally went to one corner of a street and I saw at least 50 people there. But you know, it doesn't compare at all to that one Vaporeon that was found on Central Park that one night. Nope, not at all. Most of you players probably heard about the girl that tried to find a Psyduck in the forest but instead found a dead body in the river. And she said it herself, it was a traumatizing experience, but what if that man was just lying around for days and nobody ever found him? For me, I like to consider the aftermath condition of the remains of that man, rather than the initial reaction after finding him. I expect more incidents like this to occur in the future since this game is getting popular, but I'm not really sure if that would be considered a good thing or a bad thing. This game does have its own benefits, but also many reasons to be more cautious about your surroundings while playing this. Not to be morbid, but I do think there are going to be kids just walking around trying to catch Caterpies or Rattatas, I have no idea. And eventually there will be a car crash or any kind of accident, or those who choose to blame the driver instead.
What the fuck are you doing?
You're on the road.
I fucking played Pokemon Go!
What?
I missed out on a fucking Onix because of you!
Mate,
What the fuck?
Mate, you're in the middle of
You should have waited 10 more fucking seconds! I played fucking Pokemon Go! I was on level 9!
Mate,
I was
what are you
almost in
doing?
double figures!
You-
I was almost level 10!
You're blocking the
and
road,
you
mate.
fucking cheated me out of it! I was in the national park for fucking 5 hours, mate!
What are you
Do you know how fucking much this is time consuming
How old
shit?
are you? How old are you?
Whoops, my bad. That wasn't a kid, but a wild man-child. No, but in all seriousness, I do plead you guys to be very aware of your surroundings while walking and playing this game at the same time. And to drivers, of course this applies to you guys as well. I also heard recently that there's an idea that pedophiles are trying to use lures to get kids to come to a certain area. And you know what happens after that, right? They'll find adults ready to beat his ass instead, just because he disrupted their game.
Fuck!
So when you start the game, you realize there are a few Pokestops around your neighborhood, and then you decide to walk towards it, and then you realize there are more areas that have been uncovered as you walk closer, and there are more Pokestops near that area, and then you decide to keep walking, and you're not paying attention to anything around you. Next thing you know, you're in the ghetto areas wondering where you ended up. Nah, that most likely won't happen. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's very likely that this game is more of an opportunity to meet new people, make friends, or even enemies, possibly start a gang war, but more towards bonding people together. Yay! So you're gonna discover this gym and then one person decides to take over it. You go to that gym again to recover that spot as gym leader. One day you're gonna finally meet face to face. Haha. Oh hey, so you're the one taking over my gym, huh? Go find another gym, you ass plug. What? You didn't hear me? I called you an ass. You know, we could have started this out on friendly terms, but you just had to be the fucking bitch of this neighborhood. Now you'll have to die. Of course it won't be like that, but I'm not saying it's impossible. It's more likely though that those two will probably just run away from each other. Did you guys notice that most of these locations of Pokestops are in churches and memorials? For all you new players out there, I hope you know that you don't have to walk inside the building directly, but what you really have to do is call the priest or pastor from the outside and just stand there and wait until they give you the Pokeballs by hand. Very simple, right? I can't lie, this game is really addicting and I've only been playing for a few days. Even with the fact that most of us have been seeing the server error screen rather than the actual game. Literally, if you see everyone on the parks, they're just on their phone and you can only assume they're playing Pokemon Go now. But you know what? It doesn't really matter. The only one who's gonna really win at this game is someone who has a car, money, and great Wi-Fi. That's it. Unless you care more about having fun, then that's great. Play safe then. By the way, if you guys are wondering, I'm in Team Instinct.